We say something that the son and his friends were watching explicit videos, really smacked the child with a belt. Whilst it was at 8, the two friends of the son ran outside and called the police immediately. The police arrived and collected the boy from the house. And after that, they took him to a foster home where he wouldn't see his dad again until he is 18 years. In the UK, according to the child protection law, a child is paramount. But this is not where you belong. You belong to this culture. The family worker is one person. Do dishes. It's an abuse. Your mother should do the dishes because it's her house. If you grow and you go to your own house, you can go and do your own dishes in your house. But your mother's house is her house, so let her do her dishes. Like. Hi guys, Becca here once again. Thank you so much for constantly coming back to the channel. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about parenting skills that has really changed my life and has made my motherhood skills. I've stepped up my game in my motherhood skills here in the diaspora after all that I have been through with my kids, back and forth. There are a lot of things that we do not talk about here on social media because it's not everything that is meant to be for the public. However, the highlights that I gave about things that are happening are not to put any fear or tension or anxiety in some people as they were writing in the comment section, but it's just to highlight to you that in my culture we say something that so literally, if you see that your friend or somebody close to you is going through something, you have to then take precaution or take a page from that person's book. And that is the purpose and reason why I bring such videos to your notice, so that you take a page from my book and we actually learn from each other. Your comments under my previous 2 videos have been super duper. I have learned a lot from the comment section. If you're new to my channel, my space, hi, my name is Becca. So there was this story about this Nigerian doctor. I don't know how many people heard it on social media, somewhere around June, July. There was this Nigerian doctor who had a son here in UK, and the son was preparing for his GCSE. And as part of his preparation, he requested for the dad to let him bring his 2 friends to come and live with him, to study with him. And here we call that the sleepover, where a child can go to another child's home and generally spend the night with them. I mean, it's fun for the kids, it's cool for them, but sometimes these sleepovers bring some issues and challenges, especially if you do not know who these children are and they're coming into your home, or your child is going into these children's homes. So the father, who is a Nigerian doctor, he agreed for the son to bring his friends to his house to study for their GCSE. Now, whilst they came to study at the middle of the night, according to the man, he said something pushed him to go and check on his son's room to see what was happening. So he went to the son's room, and lo and behold, the son and his friends were watching explicit videos. Judging from what the man said, he said he's from a strong Christian background. He never expected that from his child. He had high standards for the children, and he was training them to be responsible adults. So seeing such a thing from the son took him in shock, and in return to that, he couldn't compose himself. He didn't have self-control, composure, He was so shook to the bones. He took a belt and really smacked the child with the belt. Whilst it was at 8, the 2 friends of the son ran outside and called the police immediately. The police arrived and collected the boy from the house. And after that, they took him to a foster home.
A Nigerian doctor's son taken into care in this court today. Do you know what happened? You remember 2 months ago, they were preparing for their GCSE. And the child, the 2 of his friends, came to him. They were studying together, preparing for their GCSE exams. And the 2 children, they came for sleepover, and they were sleeping over and studying. But at 3 o'clock in the night, the father tiptoed into the boys' room and met them watching improper video. And immediately the man got angry. He went to pick up a belt and started beating this boy in the presence of his friends. And the 2 friends ran out of the house and called the police. That is how the police came that night and took the boy away. Now in the court today, the 2 friends, They heard the father telling him, is this how you want to become a doctor? The boy was taken away since the last 3 weeks ago, but the court hearing is today. And now they have ruled that the child, the 16 years old, remain in custody, can no longer go back to the father's house. 16 years old boy. Boy said the father is always beating him to study the subjects he doesn't want, because the father wants him to study medicine in university. He's forcing him to study the subjects that he doesn't like. That's what the boy said. Now the boy has been taken into custody completely. A doctor's son, a Nigerian doctor's son. Hey, my people, what is going on?
Where he wouldn't see his dad again until he is 18 years. Fast forward, I followed up on this story because it was all over social media. I know maybe some of you have heard it. Fast forward, the boy now went to the foster home and he now wants to come back home, saying that he wasn't the one that called the police. It was the friends that called the police. Bottom line, when my kids came over to the UK, the first week of starting school, they came and were like, Mommy, we want to do sleepover with our friends and all that. It is something that's a culture, you know. It's just like back home, the way we have our cultures. Here too, they have their own cultures where children can go, you know, go and sleep in their friend's house and all that. I'm not against that, but in my house, no sleepovers are allowed. You do not go to anybody's house to sleep over. If somebody wants to come to ours to sleep over, that's fine. But before I release any child of mine to go and sleep over in anybody's home, I want that child to be in a space where they know what they are doing, number one. Number two, I want to meet that child's parents. We need to know each other. We need to vibe. We need to know that this is we know each other, you know, like we are comfortable with each other, basically. Sometimes when you're incorporating such parenting skills or parenting, you know, discipline in your children, people will think you are overly strict. But let me tell you what. If you do not do certain things at an early age, when the children are still young and they can, you know, they can easily understand these things, and you wait for them to grow up, it becomes an issue. When you start to incorporate these things, they see you as being overly strict or being a mean parent. Meanwhile, it is for their own good. Because if your child goes to somebody's home, you don't know this person, you don't know what is happening in that person's home, and your child develops a behavior or an attitude that you cannot really, you know, see, and they grow up with it, how can you correct this child? Now, in the UK, according to the child protection law, a child is paramount. The safety, the physical, the emotional, and the psychological safety of the child is paramount in the UK. So no matter your category of profession, no matter the job you do, once you have a child, that child becomes your paramount responsibility. Every energy you put in is towards that child. Your job should be secondary. People were asking in the comment section, so should we drop our hours just to focus on our children? Should we take our children back to Africa? I'm not the best person to say cut off your hours or whatever. But what I'm trying to say is that, like, if you're with your partner, one person should be physically at home with the children. Yeah. If you are busy, get some time. You know, I didn't say stop working at all, or cut down your hours just to be with your children. But you know, that's little time you have with your kids. Let it be quality. Speak to your children. I cannot overemphasize this right now. Speak to your children. Let them understand your culture. Now, me, I speak my language with my children. This is one thing that has helped me a lot. And I learned it from one of my Ghanaian moms. So he's got 4 children and they're all doing very well in the UK. One of them actually works in the Parliament of UK. And the way she's brought up her children, they have so much tender love and concern, like deep concern for this woman, that it marvels me. Because the Auntie Tina, how did you get your children to be like this? And she told me a lot of things. And one thing that she told me that I really picked up is that she speaks her language with her children. So that when they go somewhere and somebody starts to interact with the children in a way that she doesn't want, or the children are being overly, you know, they are doing certain things that are over and above, she tells them off in our language, or she corrects them in our language. Now, I made this video where I talked about the fact that whatever happens in your house should remain in your house, and somebody came to tell me that if you have nothing to hide, why would you say that whatever happens in your house remain in your house? Madam, you have your own home. If you like, whatever happens in your house, go and put it on social broadcasting and discuss with everybody. It's your decision. Yeah, nobody can, you know, tell you not to do that. But you know, my house is my rule. Whatever happens in my house stays in my house until I want to discuss it. If you want to debate about that. You are your own. I don't give the 2 cents about what you think. That is your own headache to carry. I said, do not discuss anything about me without my consent. If you're an adult and you need to understand something about me, come to me. If you have good intention, come to me and speak to me, and I'm the best person to explain to you, not my child. Okay. Another thing is that draw your child closer to God, to your religion, to your culture, whatever you believe in. If you believe in God, pray for your children. Pray for them. Somebody made a comment and said, anoint your children. Anoint them if you believe in it. If you're a Muslim, draw your children to your religion. Draw them to your culture. Let them understand that here you are, but this is not where you belong. You belong to this culture. This is what it is. If your children understand these things, yeah, it makes your life easier. No matter where they go, no matter things that they see, they will not learn from them. As I said, there are lots of things that are concealed that I will not be sharing on social media because obviously, because of child protection, because of child rights, because of child whatever. But things are happening in schools of our children, in our children's life, that if we do not step up our game as parents, you will emotionally and physically lose your child. Another thing is to cooperate with the school, the social authorities, and people that have got the stakeholders basically that are involved in looking after your child. So here in the UK, the school has a paramount responsibility in raising your child. If your child hasn't started school yet, then you are the sole, you are solely responsible for the child. Or if you are home training your child, which you can opt for it. Somebody made a comment about that, which is a valid point. If you want to home train your child, for me, it was an option for me. I wanted to home train my children, but I don't have that luxury. Yeah, so I'm not in the position to do that. So the stakeholders that are physically responsible for your children, work together with them. If you have a concern in the school of your child, raise it promptly with the authorities in the school. The family worker is one person. The reason why this person is called the family worker is that she works with the family and with the school. So she is like a bridge between the families and the school. So if you don't understand anything, or if you're having any challenge approaching maybe a teacher, something has happened, you're not too sure about, the first person I will recommend you to speak to is the family worker before you escalate to anything. Now, what I've also come to understand is that the person you come into contact with when an issue happens in your child's school is very important, because whether that issue will be complicated or not depends on that first contact that you come into contact with. Another thing is to incorporate habits in your children. Set rules in your house. In my house, we have rules, and it is my children that set up those rules. So they came up with those rules. They said, okay, if we do this, this will be our consequences. If we do this, this will be our punishment. They have agreed. They have come to understand that to every action, there are consequences, whether negative or positive. So they came together. I supervised them to set up these rules for them whilst they're at home. And house chores, involve your children in house chores, because I realized that when my children came, I wasn't involving them in house chores. I was doing everything almost by myself. And I realized that no, it's about time I have to involve them in house chores. Why? Because a colleague of mine who had an older child who was in high school, who was not doing house chores at all. The child went from primary school to high school, still not doing house chores. And then she had this friend. So one day the child came home from school and the mom told her, which is my colleague, told her that, oh, can you do the dishes? Because I'm tired, I'm from work, I can't really do the dishes today. And then the child did the dishes that day. Then she went to school, and out of conversation, she told her friend that, oh, yesterday I did the dishes, at home. And then the child told the girl that don't do dishes. It's an abuse. Your mother should do the dishes because it's her house. If you grow and you go to your own house, you can go and do your own dishes in your house. But your mother's house is her house, so let her do her dishes. My colleague told me this, and what I picked up from this is that involve your children as young as they are, not in anything physical or extraneous, but things like washing their own breakfast cup, the cup that you've drank tea from. Rinse it up, even if you won't wash it with soap and water, like rinse it, before you put it aside for me to do the dishes proper. Your shoes that you are taking to school, clean it by yourself. Those little things. If you eat, after you've eaten, clear up your plates. Tidy up that environment. If you make up a mess, clean it after yourself. Let the children understand this at their fundamental stages so that you don't struggle to incorporate it in their life whilst they are growing up. Another thing is make your children your friend. As I said in that video, you cannot scream on a child, you cannot beat up a child and expect it to happen, because the children have a mind of their own. I've realized that if you come to understand your children, if you come to form the love, the bonding, that friendship with them, they open up to you, it actually makes them respect you the more. To form that friendship with your children where you have open doors, where they can walk up to you to tell you what they are facing. I tell you what, children go through a lot in school, especially for us with a lot of different cultural backgrounds. They are in a new environment. They don't really know what is happening. If you don't form that door of opening up to them or letting them open up to you, telling them what happens in school, what bothers them, it's not everybody they can talk to. If they, talk to the wrong person, then that is it, you are finished. But if they confide in you, they talk to you, you will have a way of grooming that, whatever it is, tuning them to your values, to your culture. They can open up to you. Another thing for me is that a lot of people in the comment section were saying, take your children back to Ghana. It's a good thing. People have done it. It's worked for them. But for me, I feel like it will not work for me, because my circumstances have changed a lot. There are a lot of things I can talk up here. And also, I feel like these children are already here in the system. They've already been exposed to whatever they know or they do not know. Now, taking them back home where I cannot physically supervise them is going to be a torture for me. My life, that is it. I can't function anymore. Because when they were not here, they were back home. They haven't been here. They didn't know the lifestyle here. So I was like, okay, they are used to the culture back home. They're exposed to the lifestyle and everything. Now they've seen another side of life. They've seen another side of culture that they are incorporating into their life. They are trying to understand these two worlds. I have to be physically present to guide them to make certain informed decisions, to guide them to become responsible. If I take them to Ghana at this time where I will not be physically present, I don't think I can function. That is for me. It works for some people, but for some people, it will not work. What I think is that when you keep your child here, make time for them, do these things that we have all been sharing on social media, step up your parenting game, speak to mothers who are more experienced, who know they've walked the walk practically. That is what I have been doing. If you speak to them, you gather stories, you gather a page from their book. It helps you and guides you to make your own informed decisions. There is this thing that I learned from these people in England, and is that if you are able to groom your child to be a responsible child, a child who is sensible, who obey rules and regulations, they are actually fascinated and they love it. They love that our parenting skills. Just last week, I went for parent evening in my children's school. So I booked all the 3 sessions for all the 3 of them in one night. And before then, my second daughter told me that she has been nominated as the school counselor. I didn't even know there was something like that. So she's been nominated as a school counselor, where if the school wants to make some decisions, they consult these children to speak on behalf of the class. When she told me, I brushed it away. I was like, who are you counseling in that school? I brushed it away. So when we went for the parent evening and we discussed everything syllabus-wise, the teacher now began to tell me about my child, praising the child, and she was like, do you know your child is a school counselor? She's a role model. People look up to her. She's so disciplined. She is very respectful. She follows rules. The way they were praising my child, myself, I was like, hey. I didn't even know. Yeah? Hey, close my door. So the teacher was extremely happy about how the child is trained. And it comes from somewhere that if you incorporate this in your children, the society is proud of it. However, the process of having to incorporate this in your children can be tough. And if you don't take your time, it's going to form a lot of clashes. Now, when I went to the other child's school, which is my little one, the teacher was like, oh, she's very intelligent. She's very outspoken. She's very involving. She is more ahead of her class. And this shows that, this is what she said, this shows that Africa, our education system is very good. This is coming from a pure English woman. Then after everything she said, one challenge she has about my child is that when you tell her something that she knows this is the right thing, but if you tell her to do it in another way, because she has a mind of her own and she's a high achiever, she doesn't want to listen to you. She feels like, this is what I know, this is the correct thing, and that's what I have to stick to it. So there is this friction that they have, where if they say something, she doesn't really want to follow them. She wants to follow what she knows. and it's really difficult for them. I told them, now you have to put your feet down as a teacher. She is my child. I've given you that permission to put your feet down, because you, the teacher, is the one that's going to help me as a parent or as a mom to, groom this child, to train this child. But if the child says no, and you listen to the child and you are pampering her, rubbing hand on her head, and then tomorrow she'll say no again, and then you rub her head, and then she'll start to cry, it becomes a habit. She said it, yes, it's become a habit. Because now she knows that if I do it this way, I'm going to be pampered, I'm going to receive that attention. So she keeps doing it. I told her, no, that is not what it is. I am the mom. I've given you the authority. I said, put your feet down. Let her understand that you have to learn it this way, and this is how it is supposed to be. If you do that, when I went back, she gave me feedback that is working. For every child, we have things that work. So if you want to train my black child like an Oyibo child, it's not going to work. These are the few parenting skills that I have learned. I'm still learning them. I learn from people, from my neighbor, from people around me. When we go on social, my Ghanaian community, Asian community. One thing I've realized about Asian communities, they involve their children a lot in their culture and in their religion. They involve their children a lot in their culture and their religion. Let's not forget where we come from. Let's not forget our roots. The fact that you're in diaspora doesn't mean that we should throw away our culture entirely. Let's incorporate them. Let's make our children know that you are coming from another culture. Let that be your fundamental before you add anything else that you want to add onto your life as you are growing up. And I tell you what, our parenting skills, Africans, Asians, are second to none, and it is really appreciated and never overlooked. And so keep up the good work. Don't let anything scare you from disciplining your child or from training your child the way you want to train them. Yeah, one of the rules in my house is that by 9:30 latest, every child in my house should sleep. Because if you go to school because you are tired from lack of sleep and you go and sleep off in school, that is how they'll come and call me and be asking me questions. What is my child doing at home that they don't have enough sleep? So by 9:30, you should be in bed. You should read before you sleep. Even if you don't feel like sleeping, close your eyes. Sleep will come. Read your book. Yeah, have something to do. Sleep will come. So all these things are things that are helping us, and we are moving forward by the grace of God as a family. Everything has fallen in place. No issues at all. And once you're a parent and you are confident that you are doing the right thing, you know the rules, you are following the rules, care of your child, their physical needs, their health needs, their emotional needs, you're providing warmth, shelter, food, emotional support, everything, you are acting promptly, you are escalating anything. Nothing should scare you. Nothing should put you off as a parent. Know the rules and apply them. If anybody wants you to look like you do not know what you are doing, and you know for sure that you know the rules, speak up. Okay, don't suffer in silence. Speak up and everything will be fine. So this is what I want to share from updates from my 2 recent videos that I have done. And yes, until we meet again in my next video, guys. Bye-bye.